Yo, I'm Bob, totally blind since birth into Star Wars, talking about episode 7 of Andor on Disney Plus. This one's called Announcement. Spoilers ahead, you know the drill by now. Watch the episode before listening to my thoughts, or you're gonna get spoiled. Getting into the episode now. And you were warned. So, what to talk about first? How about that cameo? How about that Yularen cameo? So, he was one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, The Clone Wars. I watched the show from premiere to finale. And the episode in which Yularen outmaneuvered Admiral Trench was one of my favorites. And I'd actually hope that we get to see more of him being a strategizer. So seeing him working with the ISB now, well, it makes perfect sense. And if you've read the Thrawn novels, the canon Thrawn novels, we do see him doing a bit of the same in those novels as well. So loved the cameo. I like how Yularen just has to let everybody know when he talks to Palpatine. I think he mentioned it once or twice in Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and he does it again here when he's talking about how they're coming up with all these different ways to punish rebel sympathizers. So they're going to be taxing planets even suspected of collusion. What is it, like 5 times as much? And then he gives this big list of things they're going to be implementing. So the repercussions of the Aldhani raid, they are coming into play. And of course, everybody's watching the news. You got Cyril watching it. Mon has seen it, so she's going to go talk to Luthen Rael at his shop. And before she gets there, he's listening to that radio. I like the way the radio, I like the audio. If you listen really carefully, it sounds a lot like the old Comtech chip readers, the way the voices would sound coming out of the old Episode 1 action figure Comtech chip readers. And from that little bit of audio, we learn, what is it, like 137 Aldhani people were rounded up and interrogated after the raid. We also learn that the Empire actually interrogated some of its own military members after the raid as well. I mean, I guess I can see why, because you don't know who implemented what. I don't know how many people they interrogated. I don't even want to think about what that entailed. I think of the torture rack from The Empire Strikes Back, of course. I also think of the interrogator droid from A New Hope. Lots of unsettling things to think about there. So Mon, she is nervous as all get out when she gets in. And I like how she's in disbelief that Luthen has orchestrated this raid. And she's like, wow, how could you have done this? I can't believe you've done this. And I like his response. He's like, well, you don't build a weapon to just build a weapon. You use the weapon. And he lets her know that the Empire commits so many atrocities every day, and people have become desensitized. And he actually wants the Empire to show its hand. He wants them to overreact. He wants them to show how evil they can be, so that will give cause for more people to rebel. He actually wants people to die, which is one of the most chilling exchanges I think I've ever heard in any form of Star Wars media. It does make sense, but jeez, those are hard decisions to make. Jeez. So yeah, I like that little scene. And we get to see Clea. She's going her merry way along the Coruscant highways and byways. And she gets to meet up with Val. She tells Val that she needs to track down Andor because Andor is a loose end. And she's basically told that she needs to kill Andor. I don't know if this is something Luthen wants, or if this is something that Clea has gone behind his back and put into motion. After that exchange of dialogue there with Luthen and Mon Mothma, I'm not really sure. I guess we'll have to wait to find out. I almost feel that this is something that Clea has orchestrated, or something that she's told to do from somewhere, different in the rebellion. I think a lot of this stuff is probably compartmentalized, but we'll have to see how episodes 8 and 9 play out. So that's going on. You got Mon Mothma meeting up with her old buddy Tay later on at a dinner that she's having. And this is the source that she wants to bring into her inner circle. So she needs help moving some money around, and he's a banker, and she needs to move some of her family funds, I guess, toward the rebellion, because they need all the money they can get. Even though they stole a whole bunch of it, they still need more. So that's into play now. And I love this bit of dialogue from Mon where she talks about learning from Palpatine. People will focus on her being an irritant, focus on her being unassuming, having a stone in her hand, and then they won't see the knife that she's got at their throats. So it reminded me of that deleted scene that I still wish had been included in Revenge of the Sith, where Padme was talking to those senators, including Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma, about how they should be good little senators and play their roles. You know, Padme had planted those seeds of rebellion, and here we see Mon having taken this to heart, and that's exactly what she's trying to do. Even though she's scared to death, that I would imagine she's scared to death about her daughter, who we also see in this scene. She might be afraid that Lita might be caught up in interrogation, and who knows, die in interrogation. There are lots of things that I would imagine a mom would probably worry about when it comes to a kiddo. But I mean, she's still doing what she needs to do. We'll have to see how that plays out later on as well. You got Andor going back to Ferrix. I guess this is probably going to be the last time we see Andor and Marva talking. She's got something cooking up. Andor goes and he pays off all of his old debts. I love Andor. He's the type of guy that will pay somebody back. It may take him a little bit, but he's got all the money that he needs, and he pays back, Nershi and all these other folks. He gives Bix the money, and she lets everybody know they're all upset with him. He killed some corpos, came home to hide, brought the Empire down on him, and I guess she's basically done with him, but we'll have to see about that. And Marva's not going to go with Andor. Andor just wants to go hide. He doesn't want to be a part of any rebellion. He wants to live somewhere quietly with all the money that he has. He wants her to come with him, but she doesn't want to go. And, of course, she's talking about Clem, the guy who was basically a father to Andor, being hung in the square, and we actually get to see a really short flashback of clone troopers. And yeah, Clem was caught up in something I don't think he wanted to have any part in. They killed him, and it was a really sad, really chilling flashback. So I guess that probably took place in, what, 18 BBY, 17 BBY, when there were still clone troopers in the Imperial Army. They hadn't been phased out in term of in stormtroopers yet. So yeah, they were still in the army there. I like that scene. Cool to see clones in Star Wars live action. Gotta love the clone troopers. So we get to see Andor going to Niamos, I guess. And man, what a scene that was. We get to see him captured by, I don't know what to call him, jerk-face shore trooper and jerk-face droid. These guys are running, and Andor, he's roped in with them. The shore trooper comes up and he's like, "You a part of it?" "Well, you're looking around too much. You got to be guilty too. What are you doing?" And Andor was just trying to go to the store. He's kind of shacking up with some girl, and he's arrested. I like the droid who grabs him, because this shore trooper, he's going to go check on some other folks who are suspects too, and he's like, "Hang on to this guy, will you?" And Mr. KX security droid, who I'll be reviewing in a future figure review, he's like, "You said hang." And Andor's like, "No, he didn't mean hang like that. He meant watch me." The droid's like, "Hang." So he grabs him and basically strangling him. Yay! Funsies in the Empire. Don't you love it? And so then Andor, the end of the episode, we get to see him, and he is charged with all this BS stuff he didn't even do. Anti-Imperial speech. I think they charge him for damaging Imperial property, which he didn't even do. And he's like, "Well, I was just going to the store. I'm not a rabble rouser." And the judge lady's like, "Oh, well, too bad. Take it up with the Emperor." So a scene I forgot to mention was Dedra on Coruscant. And she's finally, able to present that hard, verifiable data. She's had to, how does she put it? She instigates the Imperial Emergency Act or something or another, so she can link all the rebel thefts across, different sectors. And so she sticks it to Bledren in this meeting. and he's really been taking this personally. Oh, how could you go behind my back? You need to serve this and that protocol, and this is just something you want to do. And I like how their boss Partagaz is like, no, I think we all need to be a little bit more loose with the rules, because look what Dedra's done. Yeah, I'll think about that. And I like how he takes her aside after the meeting. He's like, yo, you need to watch your back. And of course he's thinking of Bledrin probably playing dirty, maybe hacking into the file that she's got ready to send off with all the data in it. We'll have to see how that plays out too. But I really like watching Imperials squabble. George Lucas, man, he knew what he was doing in all instances of Star Wars, in my opinion, because he made it. But it's fun to see this group of antagonists that he's created, even though he's not working on it anymore. It is cool to see that Star Wars ball still rolling and the Empire doing its thing. Be it internal squabbling or flying around and blasting things with TIE fighters. I think I have an unhealthy fixation with the antagonists of Star Wars, but George had to go and make them so cool in terms of weapons and just how antagonistic they are. It says a lot when you're able to love to hate your main antagonists, and something I will never cease to be doing with the Empire. You love them, but you love to hate them too. So I guess that'll do for episode 7. We'll be back next week talking about episode 8. And I will hear you guys next time. May the Force be with you.